This is for, first of all, Dan Schlossberg with KINER'S Sports. This is for Tom and Greg. First of all, congratulations. You guys did everything during your careers. The one thing that you did not do, either one of you, is to pitch a no-hit game, although you both came close. Did you ever think about missing out on that aspect of your career?
No. I mean, you come close. It would have been nice, yeah, absolutely, but it seemed like I always fell a little short. So, but I'm not complaining. Everything was pretty well, and who knows?
I would probably echo that. I think that there's a lot of guys that we played with and against, and they're in the game today that you'll hear that phrase, boy, he had no-hit stuff today. I don't think you heard that about Greg and I very much. We generally were trying to pitch the contact as best we could. Like Greg said, I think we both got fairly close a couple of times, but it's probably more of a surprise when you find yourselves in that kind of game than anything else, and you just try to ride it out as long as you can when you have one. But I think that no-hitters are certainly a combination of great stuff and a little bit of luck. I think for us to have been able to do that, probably would have been a little bit more luck involved than anything else, but it just didn't work out that way.
Plus, like after the fifth, you start getting real nervous, and then it's hard to throw after that.
Next question, right in the center.
Congratulations to all three of you. It's Mark Rosenman from Wlie Sportstalkny, New York. Frank, you're only the second designated hitter, a person who's played the majority of his game as a designated hitter. How much of a thrill is that for you? And obviously it's been around for 40 years, and to be only the second, it speaks to how difficult that position actually is.
Well, I tell people I was blessed to play in the American League that had the option of the designated hitter. But my first full 10 years, I was the everyday first baseman for the Chicago White Sox. I was blessed to be able to take those early afternoon games off and just get 4 at-bats because the team needed me just to be in the lineup some days. Defensively, I was adequate. I was very adequate. But, my back got me to Cooperstown. I'm not trying to fool anybody about that. Just got to thank a lot of great managers for that, because the DH in the game in the American League, you got to have a great DH nowadays, or your team's going to have problems with great pitching. Fortunately, these guys have to deal with it. But you're talking going in with some of the best pitchers ever. These two guys right here with the mind and the stuff. I'm happy to hear that story about the no-hitter stuff. These guys didn't have to throw no-hitters. You know what was coming, you still couldn't get them out, and that's big league pitching. So I was blessed. I'm happy to be the first guy, or the second guy, basically, that spent a lot of time at DH because it is a tough position.
Next question, gentlemen, 4 rows back on your right. Joe.
Joe Lemire with Sports Illustrated. Congratulations to each of you. And a question for each of you. The plaque is a summation of your career, just a few dozen words. Once you put all the numbers in there, there are only a few adjectives, a few descriptions that are left. How would you like to be remembered? What word would you like to see on your plaque?
I guess overachieve would be a good one. In one word.
I don't know. I think you certainly want to be known as a competitor. I know some of the words that I hear people talk about me as competitor, stubborn. That was kind of one of my traits. I think that was probably good for me, but got me in some trouble sometimes. But and I think for me, you could pick either one, either dependable or durable. I'm proud of the fact that I made as many starts as I did and pitched as many innings as I did and didn't go on the disabled list. I mean, that was kind of, that was kind of our thing when we were all together. It's your job to pitch every 5 days, so find a way to go out there. So I think durable would certainly be something that I would want people to look at my career as being that type of guy.
For me, I would think persistent and driven. I think I was a very driven person. I wasn't that blue-collar guy coming out, but I guess I don't want to call myself a diamond, but it was many years of polishing my career and getting to where I was. So very driven should be the word.
Next question, gentlemen, second row in the center.
Hey, gentlemen. Good morning and congratulations on your Hall of Fame selection. Anthony Rosario was the former Women's Boys. I was wondering, starting with you, Frank, what do you remember most about your Major League debut?
You know, I had a great debut. I came up with a great pitcher, Alex Fernandez. We both came out at double at the same time. We both did a lot early in minor league ball, so the team decided to bring us up at the same time. So that was a magical day for both of us to get to the major leagues. #1 draft picks, 2 consecutive years to come up together.
You know, my first day was pretty cool. Walked down the steps of Wrigley Field, and to get into the clubhouse, and my walker's next to Rick Sutcliffe. So that was pretty cool, because I had watched him growing up as a kid a little bit. And then the starting pitchers for that day were Jamie Moyer and Nolan Ryan. So you had kind of both ends of the spectrum right there. You had, you know, a guy that probably threw the hardest in the league against a guy that threw the softest in the league. So it was a pretty special day for me.
Yeah, I think for me, my debut, I guess one word that came to mind, what comes to mind would be short. That didn't last very long. But I think I was more in awe of where I was than I was trying to get guys out. You know, my first game was in the old Astrodome, and Houston was in the middle of the pennant race, and the place was full and it was loud. And you know, I think I spent more time every time somebody would come in the batter's box, kind of going through the process of, oh my God, I'm facing this guy. You know, what am I doing here? But I remember distinctly that it all set in that I was in the big leagues when I had my first at-bat. Mike Scott was pitching against me that day. And up until that point through the minor leagues, I'd never had or heard a fastball come through the strike zone and hit the catcher's mitt quite the way it did when Mike Scott threw it that day. So I think that was the kind of the moment that I thought to myself, okay, I'm in the big leagues, this is pretty cool. So.
Next question, gentlemen, 5 rows back in the center.
Hi guys, Sam Dykstra with MILB.com. Congrats. Kind of in that same vein, you guys got your pro career started in the minors. Could you reflect on your time down there and how it kind of helped your development into obviously what was a Hall of Fame career?
You know, I think that for all of us, and for most of the guys who play baseball, I think we all have an appreciation for what we went through in the minor leagues. You know, I think baseball, more than any other sport, really is a sport where you got to pay your dues. It doesn't matter how good you are coming out of high school or college or where you get drafted. Most guys are going to spend some time in the minor leagues, and you know that's where you really learn how to play the game on an everyday basis, how to go to the ballpark every day and get something out of every day. You know, I know for me, you know, the minor leagues, I made some good friends down there, guys that you know I still keep in touch with from time to time. And you know, it was really that point in time where you know you just learn how to kind of grind things out on a daily basis and learn how to get better. And you know, you knew again you're going to have to pay your dues down there, and the quicker you got through there, the quicker you could get to the big leagues.
For me, that's kind of where you start to grow up a little bit. You know, I didn't go to college. Not all of us went to Auburn, but I signed out of high school, so that was my first experience. Was, you know, this was my first time away from home, and I had to grow up fast. That's what I remember early on, and then once you get past that, you start trying to get better and try to learn as much as you can from all your coaches, from your teammates, even the opposing team. And you know, you got to move up. You can't repeat the level. And just always wanted to make sure I moved up a notch until I finally got to the big leagues.
For me, it really helped going to Auburn. You know, playing major college football, I got to grow up a little bit faster. And I spent only 8 months in the minor leagues because I think just playing at that level, high level football, the competition level mentally for me was already there. So when I got to the big leagues, I knew I was there for a reason, and being that big, strong guy that I am, it really helped my chance of staying there for a long time. So you know, I was blessed to play major college football along with baseball.
Next question in the center, 3 rows back.
Congratulations, gentlemen. Dave Mariah, Sports Collectors Digest. For anybody who chooses to answer this, a lot of athletes have a trophy room at home. You keep special mementos from your career, maybe a game ball from 300 wins or a bat from 500 home runs. Just wondering if any of you have anything at home that's especially meaningful to you that reminds you of your career.
For me, I guess, playing so long, I got to meet a lot of great players, and my back collection that sits in my basement of probably like 50 or 60 of who I thought were great hitters, in my 20 years in the big leagues.
I'm not a huge collector. I've got a few things from some guys in baseball. Mickey Mantle baseball, I think Ted Williams baseball, Wlie 540Am baseball. So some of the guys that certainly are great in the game. I've got some guys from other sports, Joe Montana, Greg Wayne Gretzky's type of stuff. But as far as my career went, I really didn't save a whole lot. I probably should have, looking back. But certainly my Cy Young awards and things like that. But on a personal level, I think about the only things that I have are a couple of milestone wins for baseballs, like 200, 250, 300, and then pretty much everything that I had or used in my 300 win that the Hall of Fame didn't take from me, I think is at my house.
Marty, do you have a question?
Yes.
Marty on the left.
I'm Marty Noble, MLB.com. For Tom and Greg, did either of you ever, kiddingly or not, try to persuade John Swaltz to retire when you did?
No, I did it. I've given him grief since then. I gave him some grief yesterday, telling him that, he didn't have to go and play another year, that, he'd be up here with us. But, it would have been cool if John was with us as well, but his day will be coming soon.
Yeah, no, not really. It would have been really nice to have Salty up here with us, obviously. But, I always say play as long as you can, to be honest with you. You never know, you might have another good year.
Next question on the left, Barry.
Barry Bloom from MLB.com. Congratulations, guys. It was very well deserved. For Tom and Greg again, there was this perception, because you guys worked the plate as well as you did, that you were given a wider berth by the umpires. And in fact, there's a joke going around that your plaque should be a little wider because is that an urban legend or is it true? And if it is true, how did it evolve?
No, I think there's some truth to it. But I think up until the last few years, that was kind of the nature of the game then. When we came into the game, the strike zone was more of an east and west strike zone. Certain umpires were considered pitchers umpires versus hitters umpires, so you had that dynamic going. I know when I first came up, trust me, there were plenty of times in my first year of baseball where I'd throw a pitch that I thought was a strike, and I might complain on the bench that, well, they're calling that pitch for Dwight Gooden, why aren't they calling that for me? And it would be, well, because you're not Dwight Gooden. So, you had to earn that, and I think that's the way the game was, and it still is to a certain degree now. Let's not kid ourselves. Some guys get the benefit of the call over others, and it all has to do with, experience and consistency and all those things. But, I think from our standpoint, at least from my standpoint, you knew you had 18 inches of the plate to work with. You just had to figure out where those 18 inches were. If you could get 6 inches off the plate, then take it if you can get it. And I think that was certainly my philosophy. I was going to try and have my catcher set up on the outside corner, and I was going to hit that glove as often as I could. And if I could get him to get off the plate a little bit, and I hit the glove and they called it, then I was going to go a little bit further and see if I could get it. That was all part of the cat and mouse game. So, just had to figure out how to use it. But it's, it's changed a little bit in today's game. It's more of a north and south strike zone now.
Yeah, I think for me, I charted a lot of games up, and I know I charted a lot of last games, and it's no secret that every umpire sees different. You can't expect all the umpires to see the same way. So I think you're going to have different strike zones with the different umps. And I think if an umpire was, say, given 2 or 3 inches off the plate away, pretty consistent, he gave it to both guys. And I think the difference, like Glab, is he would throw 20 pitches there, where the other team's pitcher would throw 2 or 3. So everyone's like, oh, he's getting more pitches. No, he's making more pitches. I mean, that's the established strike for that day. And the pitcher that takes advantage of it is probably going to win. And, you know, again, it works the other way with hitters, too. Like, trying to get a strike inside of Frank was tough. His strike zone was probably a little bit, you know, when you flip it for the hitter's side. And I think Tony Glenn, every time you faced him, it was 1-0. So, you know, the strike zone's always moved around a little bit, but, you know, I think better pitchers make more pitches. It looks like they're getting more pitches.
Gentlemen, the next question is second row on your right.
Congratulations, gentlemen. Andy Esposito of New York Sports Day. I'd like to ask each of you where and when were you when you received the call yesterday, and what did you do in preparation for that, either mentally or physically, knowing that you might get a call yesterday about the Hall of Fame?
I was home with my wife and 4 of our kids. The other one was off at college, but you know, I think the hardest part for me about yesterday was making all the preparations to be here today and not knowing if I was going to be here today. You know, my mind doesn't work very well that way. I'm kind of more of a, okay, this is work, this is what's going on, now let's deal with it. I'm not a very good, well, this might go on, so let's prepare for this. So it was a little bit difficult in that regard. But yeah, I think we spent the morning, my wife and I, just kind of packing, running around doing the normal carpool stuff that we do, and then, which was very much of a big deal for us. We were actually done with everything at 12:30 and sitting down at the kitchen table waiting for a phone call. So, you know, those 45 minutes that before the phone call came, it was a little bit anxious.
For me, I got up like 7 o'clock yesterday morning, worked out. Everyone else in the house was asleep. I just wanted to get all the nervous energy out, and no one in the house were allowed to pack. All my family's here, 5 kids and a wife. There was a big superstition there. We were hoping for the best, but you know, they didn't want to take anything for granted. So we finally got that call. Within an hour, we had a lot to get done. So you know, it was worth the wait. It was worth the hustle to get out of there. But we made it finally. But it was the best call of my life.
Well, luckily we were on the West Coast, so the day came a lot earlier for us. So the time changed. You know, we woke up, had some coffee, watched a little bit of the network coverage on TV, and shared the morning with my wife Kathy and my mother. So it was a very special morning, and got the call. Very excited.
Next question in the center.
Mark Rosenman from Sports Talk New York. This is for Tom and Greg. Obviously, next year, John's probably going to join you in the Hall of Fame. How important is Leo Mazzoni to the 3 of your success, and could a case be made that he could possibly somehow make it to the Hall of Fame someday as a pitching coach?
You know, I certainly can't, I won't speak for Greg. I know he'll have his own thoughts, and I don't want to speak for John, but, you know, I'm fairly confident in saying that, you know, Leo was a big help for all of us in different ways. You know, Leo was the guy for me that certainly helped me get to the point where I understood my mechanics and I knew what I was trying to do and I knew what adjustments I had to make. You know, I mean, it was part of the conversations that he and I had always had. Is, you know, do your work, go through your work, try to get as consistent as I can, and then my thought process was, you know, I wanted to, in a very respectful way, eliminate him as my pitching coach as much as I could. You know, as I always said to him, I said, you know, Leo, my goal every game is not to have you come out to the mound and tell me what I'm doing wrong, because if I am, then there's really a lot going on that's not very good. So I want to try and figure it out before you have to come out here. So that was, you know, that was kind of the give and take that we had. And, you know, he was very helpful for me at that stage of my career, really understanding my mechanics. And, you know, yeah, I mean, I guess, you know, you could make an argument for him somewhere down the line. I mean, I don't know how that whole process works, but I mean, he was a pitching coach for some pretty darn good pitchers and some pretty good teams. So certainly somebody you can make an argument for.
I think a good coach will teach you to coach yourself, and I think that's what Leo did. Leo helped me coach myself, like Tom was saying. You know, their goal is not having him come out there and have to tell you what to do all the time, and he's right. And you know, probably the biggest thing I got from Leo was you make your starts. No matter how you feel, you go out there and you pitch. You make your starts. You know, you'd much rather lose than go out there and not try to win. So it was very important that when that fifth day rolled around, you pitched regardless of what was going on.
Next question is in the back left, gentleman.
Hi, I'm Brendan Hoodie with NJ.com. First, guys, congratulations. Greg, we're in New York today. Back in '92, there was a thought that you might be spending a decent amount of time here. Do you ever reflect and think about what it might be like had you signed with the Yankees and spent a significant amount of time making trips?
I have, absolutely, especially when they were winning all those World Series in the late 90s. You know, it was a decision for me at the time where I was a National League player, and the opportunity for me to go to Atlanta. You gotta remember this was 92 too. The Braves were really good in 91 and 92. And I had an opportunity to go there. And you know, my decisions back then were I wanted to stay in the National League and I wanted a chance to get a World Series ring. And you know, back then I felt Atlanta kind of fit both those needs for me.